Well, welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. Today I want to focus on some Batman 9.8 comics that are dropping in value. And to be honest, you can kind of throw a dart at any 9.8 nowadays and it's dropping in value. So I just wanted to focus on like some really cool Batman comics to buy in a 9.8. So the first one, it's a Detective Comics 583. This one's the first appearance of Scarface and the Ventriloquist. Saw quite a few of these sell recently, and this one's just a pretty great 9.8, certainly if you're a villains guy. Really awesome cover, yeah, Mike Mignola cover. That's getting on to be pretty much a classic Batman cover. But there's 207 9.8s in a blue label, so a 1, a 207 is like a pretty great collector item, and 24.5% is the 9.8 ratio, so about 1 in 4 of them are 9.8s that are sent to CGC. So some recent pricing history on this one. I did see one recently sell for $194, and that is kind of a dropping in value type of price. If you go back just in the last couple months, like 2 to 3 months, I saw one sell as well for $251.25 and $230.50. So it kind of seems like this one maybe, in the last month. The most recent sale anyway was quite a bit lower than some sales a few months ago. So maybe this one's just cooling off a little bit. But if you're a villains guy, if you're a Batman fan, this one's got a great cover, first appearance, pretty great collector item, a 1, a 207. So I think Detective Comics 583 has got quite a lot going for it. Next one I do really love, one of my favorite 1990s books, I guess late 90s on this one, Batman Beyond #1. Yeah, the first appearance of Terry McGinnis in comic books. I recently saw one of these sell for $1,042.77. Yeah, they seem to be going just a little over $1,000 nowadays. This is one during the pandemic where it got a little nuts there. At one point there was a lot of speculation around some like DC event that happened. I didn't even really pay attention to it, but during that time it was like maybe they're gonna announce a Batman Beyond movie. They didn't, but during that time this one was like over 2,000, I think well over 2,000. So it's cooled off for, as it should, from those pandemic prices. $1,042.77 though kind of seems expensive, but this one's a really great collector item. I love Batman Beyond. I know what it's like to really like Batman Beyond, so there's a big cult of fans out there, that really like Batman Beyond. There's 474 9.8s in a blue label. Yeah, 474. When I first got into things, I'm pretty sure there was less than 200 of these in the high grade. So, people are getting their books in and getting this one graded. 24.6% is the 9.8 ratio, which is pretty great. That's really great for a late 90s book. I think that's the reason why this one's over $1,000 still. That's a great ratio. Not too many of them, a 1 of 474 for how popular Batman Beyond is. Great cover on this one too, classic Bruce Timm cover. So Batman Beyond, maybe get Batman Beyond 1, maybe you get a little lucky, get it under $1,000. I think that's a pretty great deal if you're a huge Batman Beyond fan for a tough 9.8 on this one. Yeah, this one's kind of like a Batman Adventures 12 where, Batman Adventures 12, it has like the Fox Kids and yeah, I think this one's WB Kids possibly. But I think when these books came out, collectors were just like almost treated them like coloring books or something, like threw them to the kids and, they read them and tore them up. Nobody was really thinking that there were big first appearances that were going to be well collected over time. So I think that's why they're pretty tough in the super high grade, both this book and Batman Adventures 12, the first Harley Quinn book. But yeah, I think Batman Beyond #1 in a 9.8, under $1,000, maybe even a little over if you really want it, is a great 9.8 comic to buy. Next one is a Batman 366. Yeah, this is just one of my favorite affordable 1980s Batman 9.8s to buy, basically. Saw one recently sell for $225. I got 2 of these. I got one in a newsstand and in a direct edition in a 9.8. And there's one in Canada right now for pretty much, I think it's like $230 when you do the exchange. Plus a really good shipping price in there as well. And there's going to be tax on it if you're buying it within Canada. But yeah, there's one up on eBay right now that's a really good price, and I've been pretty tempted to kind of have 3 of these and add that one. If you're interested in grabbing this one possibly. But on the census, 209 9.8s, a 1 of 209 for like this, yeah, just classic Walt Simonson cover. Yeah, this is a classic Joker cover for sure. 24.4%, the 9.8 ratio, which is not too bad. Yeah, some of these 80s Batman books, if they're not like the obvious key, it's more about just there not being too many of them. Like a 1 of 209 is a pretty great collector item, whereas the ratios don't get as low as an Amazing Spider-Man book or something like that. I think Batman books just maybe generally a little bit less transfer among collectors. Like if you're a Batman fan, you get them and you keep them, and you know, you're not reselling them all the time kind of thing. So a Batman 366 and a 9.8 right around 225 I think is totally worth it. Yeah, this one's a pretty affordable one, but an awesome collector item for Batman fans out there. Okay, next one's a big key Batman 357, one I do have luckily. Saw quite a few sales of this one on eBay, and yeah, a lot of times you don't really see this one sell too much in a fire sale auction, but there were 3 recent sales on eBay. And yeah, maybe this one just cooling down a little bit in the last month or so. That's what the pricing seems. The most recent sale was $586. And yeah, just going back in kind of the last 6 months, saw one go for $697 and $710. So I think that's kind of the range, you know, a little bit under 600 to a little bit over 700 on this one. But it's of the first full appearance of Killer Croc and Jason Todd, and it's I think it's almost like a borderline cameo of Killer Croc, but you get the appearance of Jason Todd in there. 272 9.8s in a blue label, a 1 of 272. There's quite a lot of these graded because it is a big key, so this one's got a better ratio. 12.1% of all graded copies are 9.8, which is pretty great. So, you know, the market's kind of cooling down right now. I would aim for right around 600 on this one, maybe even a little bit under with that sale going at 586. But, yeah, Batman 357 is just kind of one of those no-brainer big Batman keys that, you know, you kind of want to have if you're a big Batman fan, for sure. Okay, next one is a Batman Vengeance of Bane special number 1. This one is a great one. It's definitely dropped in value over the last 2 years or so with the pandemic and leading into the Batman movie. All the Batman books, you know, most of them heated up pretty good. This one was on that list of books that heated up. It was over $600 at one point. But recent sales, $290 and $302. And, you know, even 6 or so months ago, you were seeing them kind of in the $375 range. So this one's even cooled down a little bit more in the last, like 3 months or so, let's call it. I think under $300 is a really great value for a Batman Vengeance of Bane. Yeah, great read on this one. Bane kind of grows up in the prison and eventually kind of fakes his death and breaks out, and they do all these experiments on him to give him the venom, and he survives, but then he fakes his death so he can get out. Then he breaks back in, gets all his friends, and goes to Gotham. Yeah, just a great origin story for Bane on this one. And 1,494 9.8s in a blue label. So, you know, 90s book on this one, heavily printed pretty much, like all early 1990s books. But 1,494 is not too bad for a 90s book like an obvious key. 31.6% is the 9.8 ratio. So this is kind of like, it sort of has the binded spine, like it's almost like a trade paperback type of comic. So usually those are a little bit easier to keep in good shape. Sort of reminds me of like a Killing Joke is not the best 9.8 because like they just all seem to be in pretty good shape. They're a little bit kind of stiffer than a normal comic, I would say. So 31.6%, not the best ratio, but you do get that huge origin and first appearance of a really big Batman villain. Like Bane is probably the only villain in the modern age that is like right into pop culture. Everyone knows about him. So yeah, I just think for that reason alone, you'd want this one for sure. So right under $300, just kind of a no-brainer to be honest if you're a big Batman fan. Yeah, like $290, that one sale I think is a price target to aim for on a Vengeance of Bane and a 9.8. Okay, last one I thought I'd add it on the list. I don't really recommend this one, to be honest, but maybe it's kind of your thing. It's more affordable. It's the Year of the Villain, Hell Arisen, #3, the first full appearance of Punchline. And yeah, this one, when it came out, and it kind of was like right getting into the pandemic, and then it really took off during the pandemic. I was never recommending this one. It just, Punchline comes across as basically like a girl Joker, which I don't know, is just not that creative. Or like a Harley Quinn 2.0, like we already have a girl Joker, basically, was my kind of thinking when Punchline came out. But yeah, if there's some Punchline fans out there for sure. It's a way better time to buy this one right now than it was during the pandemic. I saw one sell recently for $115.50. And, during the pandemic, for a good long time, it was over $200. And it was like $225, right when it came out. I think it was probably over $250 for a minute there. Never recommended it during that time. Just thought it was a new comic that you'd absolutely want to be patient on. $115.50 though, starting to make a little more sense. Yeah, and for a modern book, there's a lot of them. It doesn't really look that good on the sense. It's 3,000 9.8s in a blue label. Maybe you'd want to get. There's quite a lot of these signed. So if you're the biggest Punchline fan, you want this one. Get a better collector item, get it in the signature series. But there's 3,000 in the universal blue label. 75.7% is the 9.8 ratio. So $115.50, maybe this one even cools down a bit more, and it's one that you can just get a little under 100, over the next year or so. But kind of a cool cover. Like, it's a pretty cool Joker cover. It's got that going for it. And yeah, if you did get into Punchline, I think you can think about buying this one now rather than... Yeah, during the pandemic, it was like 100% hands off. Just too expensive for a modern 9.8. That's not really tough or anything like that. Okay, that's it for some Batman books at a 9.8. That I really love these ones. I'm a big Batman fan. The pride of ownership for these ones is just off the scale. And yeah, right now it's kind of a good lull in, like I think the Batman 2 movie is going to come out, but probably not for like a year or two. So most of these books will probably kind of heat up getting into that movie. So I think right now, it's a pretty good time to grab some of your favorite Batman 9.8 comics. Okay, we'll leave it at that though. Thanks for watching, team. I'll see you on the next one.